So after a while, I moved out of being an account executive and I was more of a solutions architect or a solutions engineer running the sales, the presentation of the product for larger companies and bigger prospects. But I didn't really have any formal training other than that. When I was in high school and college, I worked at a martial arts school. I learned to sell memberships. It's pretty hard to sell a 1-year membership contract for a 3-year-old, but I managed to do that, and then doing the cookie convention, I had to sell booths, sponsorships, and tickets. So both B2B and B2C selling, and I did that soup to nuts. So I had a background, but nothing specific to what I was selling when I entered tech.
Got it. How about like on your own? Did you do training, read books, attend seminar, do any of that stuff?
Certainly. I have a bookshelf behind me with one of the early books I read that I actually do recommend to attorneys. It's probably a little dated now, but it's still great. It's called Selling the Invisible. And it was all about selling and positioning services, things you can't see. And, in a lot of ways, what lawyers do is that. I don't know about you. Most lawyers don't even offer you a work sample when you interview them. And most consumers have no idea how to tell who's good or not. In fact, most lawyers can't even tell who's good or not in a different practice area. How are you supposed to know? So Selling the Invisible was super helpful. There were others. The sales director who agreed to hire me and manage me remotely, Ted Olson, released a book called Feel Good About Selling. And that's one I recommend to attorneys or non-attorney sales staff who maybe don't feel great about selling, like your wife. And it walks through how to do ethical selling and what selling really is if you're doing it well. It's not car salesman-y or it's not supposed to be pushy. If anything, you're supposed to make sure they always know they have the freedom to walk away from the conversation.
Yeah. That's a big thing. That's another preconceived notion on sales is that it's pushy, it's car salesman-ishy, where a good salesperson is getting the person to have the cognition that this is what they need, right? And that they should get it, right?
Absolutely.
What would you say to attorneys, like what sales tips would you give?
I think that a lot of attorneys do their consultations and they have a set of questions they ask to understand the legal situation, which is important, but they don't do a lot about understanding the motivations and needs of the person telling them about it. So my first tip would be to ask open-ended questions and listen and ask follow-up questions based on those. So you need both a script and courage to go beyond the script, but you should always be moving them through a guided conversation because they're looking to you as the expert, not just on drafting their legal paperwork, but on the process and on what they need. So if you don't know what the next step is, or you're not confident in saying at the end, based on all of this, is there anything else you want to ask about what it would be like to retain us and work with us as your firm? Is there anything that concerns you? Is there anything standing in the way of us moving forward? Should I send you a retainer? Are you still doing research? Where are you in this process of your own? If you don't have the courage to do that, they're going to be confused too. And they're going to retain with the firm that makes them feel like they're going to get firm, confident guidance.